Starseed from Gaia. If your chest tightens at night because you wonder why love keeps arriving as silence, mixed signals, or almost relationships, hear me now. I am Selenia, emissary of the stellar heart healers, speaking to the daughter of light who has been asked to wait without losing her softness. By the end of this transmission, you will understand why your loneliness was not proof that God forgot you, why the relationships that broke your heart were not wasted, and why the love aligned with your soul union does not require you to betray your peace to receive it. The heart portal activation, the Pleiadian code of divine relationships, is named here, and the link sits in the first pinned comment. The first revelation is this: your waiting season was not a closed door. It was a holy separation from the version of you who confused anxiety with attraction, intensity with intimacy, and inconsistency with a spiritual test. You were not being punished. You were being trained to recognize love that does not wound you to awaken you. Every time you chose not to chase, a new boundary formed. Every time you stopped explaining your worth to someone who could not hold it, your field became clearer. Every lonely evening was not empty. It was God removing the noise so your spirit could hear what devotion feels like before a man ever arrives. Preparation does not mean perfection, beloved one. It means maturity. It means discernment. It means you can receive affection without abandoning yourself. If your heart knows this message is for you, comment 1111 as a vow that you choose peace over panic, like this transmission, so it reaches another waiting starseed. And subscribe because your aligned love story is being purified, not denied. The second revelation is this: some of the weight placed upon your heart did not begin with you. It came through family patterns, through the women who learned to survive by overgiving, staying quiet, and calling endurance love. It came through mothers, grandmothers, and caregivers who had been taught that a good woman keeps the peace even when her own spirit is breaking. You inherited their fear of being left, their habit of making excuses, and their belief that love must be earned through sacrifice. Other layers were placed upon you by former partners who benefited from your uncertainty. They gave you affection and then withdrew it. They praised your sensitivity and then used it against you. They made promises when they feared losing access to you, but became distant when your heart needed consistency. This trained your body to wait for the next signal, the next message, the next return. You began to mistake relief for love because relief came whenever the silence ended. And another layer was placed by a culture that teaches women to measure their value by whether they are chosen. It tells you to be more beautiful, more agreeable, more available, more mysterious, and less honest about your needs. It tells you that if a man is confused, you must become more desirable until his confusion disappears. Beloved, this was never proof that you were unworthy. It was conditioning. You were responding to wounds that had been repeated so often they began to feel like intuition. What I have just described has a name, and it is why I set down the heart portal activation. If you have ever felt your chest open for someone you were not supposed to want, or lain awake defending a connection nobody around you understood, this is the map for what is actually happening inside you. It opens the heart portal in stages so that what feels like chaos becomes something you can read. This is not about earning the love you want by suffering correctly. You are not being tested. You are being prepared. Every month you spend calling this confusion, you postpone the union it was preparing you for. The link is in the first pinned comment below. Now listen carefully, because the next layer is where many divine feminine hearts become trapped. You may have believed that your past relationships failed because you were too much, too emotional, too spiritual, too demanding, or too difficult to love. But often, you were simply asking for clarity from people who were committed to remaining unclear. You were asking for presence from people who only wanted access. You were asking for a future from people who enjoyed the benefits of your devotion without carrying the responsibility of a promise. The third revelation is this: your loneliness became a training ground for self-trust. The first time you were alone after a painful ending, you may have felt as if your identity had been removed. Your day was filled with unanswered questions. You checked your phone. You replayed conversations. You searched for hidden meanings in simple words. You wondered whether you should send one more message, Explain yourself one more time, or offer one more chance. Yet beneath that agitation, a deeper part of you was learning to remain present without immediate reassurance. This is why solitude can feel so intense for a woman who has spent years regulating her emotions through another person. When someone is inconsistent, your nervous system begins to watch them instead of listening to you. Their mood becomes your weather. Their delay becomes your emergency. Their attention becomes your evidence that you are safe. When they leave, the mind says, find them. But the soul says, find yourself. You are not abandoned by God in those nights. You are being returned to your own inner authority. That return happens through small choices. You stop opening the conversation just to see if they answered. You stop checking whether they viewed your story. You stop making your plans depend on a person who has not made a clear place for you. You allow a message to remain unanswered until you have the emotional space to respond. You notice the urge to chase, but you do not obey it. Each of these choices teaches your body that love is not an emergency. The fourth revelation is that a healthy connection will not ask you to abandon the wisdom you gained in solitude. When the allied man enters your life, you may feel attraction, warmth, and recognition. You may feel your heart expand, but you will not need to become smaller to keep his interest. You will not need to hide your values, pretend you need less, or accept an arrangement that leaves you anxious. The right connection can move with tenderness and strength at the same time. It can hold desire without creating confusion. It can make room for questions without punishing you for asking them. Do not reject a peaceful connection because it does not create the same electric pain as an old one. Some of you have become so familiar with emotional storms that calm feels empty. You think there is no spark when your body is actually saying, I am not being threatened. You think he is not obsessed with me, when the truth is that he is allowing connection to grow without trying to possess you. You think, why am I not desperate? And that is the sign that your healing is working. Intensity can be real, but intensity alone is not evidence of divine union. A bond can feel powerful because it activates an old wound. It can feel destined because it repeats a family story. It can feel psychic because you are constantly monitoring the person. It can feel impossible to release because your nervous system is waiting for the reward that used to follow pain. The soul recognizes love through coherence, not through constant emotional exhaustion. The fifth revelation is that discernment is not cynicism. Some starseeds fear that setting boundaries will make them cold. They worry that asking for clarity will block the miracle. They believe being spiritually open means giving everyone the benefit of the doubt forever. But openness without discernment is not divine love. It is an unlocked door with no guardian. Discernment says, I can honor your potential without volunteering for your pattern. It says, I can understand your wounds without becoming the place where you release them. It says, I can feel compassion for your past and still require healthy behavior in the present. This does not mean you judge a person for being imperfect. It means you observe whether they are willing to take responsibility for how their imperfections affect the bond. Look at what happens after a misunderstanding. Does he become curious, or does he become cruel? Does he repair, or does he disappear until you surrender your question? Can he listen without turning the conversation into an attack on your character? Can he say, I was wrong, without adding 10 reasons why it was actually your fault? Can he make a promise and then create a structure that supports keeping it? These are not ordinary details. They are signs of emotional capacity. A healthy man may have fears, but he does not make his fears your permanent home. He may need time, but he communicates instead of leaving you to invent explanations. He may have a demanding life, but you can still feel his intention. He may move carefully, but careful is different from evasive. A slow connection can still be clear. A fast connection can still be empty. The sixth revelation is that your preparation includes learning how to receive. Many of you know how to love, support, understand, and encourage. You know how to hold space for another person's pain. You know how to give gifts, make plans, soften your words, and carry more than your share. But when someone offers care to you, you become suspicious, restless, or eager to repay it before it has even reached your heart. You may say, he is too good, when you mean, I do not know how to be loved without proving my value. You may create a problem because peace feels unfamiliar. You may test his devotion by becoming distant, then call his response proof that he never cared. You may reject a sincere compliment because accepting it would require you to believe that you are already worthy. Receiving is not passive. Receiving asks you to remain present without controlling the outcome. It asks you to let someone show up without interrupting them with self-protection. It asks you to say thank you instead of explaining why the kindness is unnecessary. It asks you to let affection enter the room without immediately preparing for its departure. This does not mean you trust blindly. You still observe patterns. You still maintain your standards. You still protect your time and your body. But you no longer punish a new person for what an old person did. You allow him to reveal himself through repeated actions. You do not force him to pass trials you have never named. You do not demand that he heal every wound before you give him a chance to be human. The seventh revelation is that self-abandonment often disguises itself as spiritual loyalty. You may have stayed because you felt the connection had a purpose. You may have believed that your patience could awaken him. You may have interpreted every return as a sign from the universe, even when every return brought the same absence of commitment. You may have said, "Our souls are connected," while your daily life was filled with uncertainty, tears, and waiting. A soul connection is not permission to ignore reality. God can use a relationship to teach you, but a lesson is not always a life partner. Some people arrive to reveal the boundary you were afraid to set. Some arrive to expose the belief that love must be chaste. Some arrive to show you where you still confuse being needed with being cherished. Their spiritual meaning does not require you to keep access open forever. You can bless a connection and release it. You can honor what it awakened without continuing to offer your energy to what cannot grow. You can accept that a person was important without deciding that he was your final destination. This is not failure, it is obedience to truth. When you are prepared for aligned love, you stop asking only, "Do I feel something?" You also ask, "What does this connection produce in me?" Do you become more honest, more grounded, more creative, and more alive? Or do you become secretive, distracted, fearful, and willing to violate your own word? The fruit matters. Attraction is a beginning, not a verdict. The eighth revelation is that boundaries reveal alignment faster than chemistry does. If you say you need consistent communication, the aligned person does not mock you for having a need. If you say you are not available for a hidden relationship, he does not call you demanding. If you need time before becoming intimate, he does not pressure you or withdraw affection to punish you. If you make a plan for your work, your children, your health, or your spiritual practice, he does not expect you to erase it whenever he appears. A boundary is not a wall against love. It is a doorway with a clear entrance. The wrong person may become more interested when you abandon your standards, because your self-abandonment gives him access without responsibility. The aligned person becomes more respectful when you stand in your truth, because he is not seeking a woman he can control. He is seeking the woman who knows herself and can meet him with equal honesty. You do not have to deliver your boundary through anger. You can speak simply. "I am interested in getting to know you, but I am not available for uncertainty. I enjoy our connection, and I need plans to be made with care. I do not continue relationships that disappear and return without explanation." Then you watch. The response will teach you more than another month of guessing. Some of you are waiting for a sign, but the sign is already in the pattern. A man who wants to build will not require you to become a detective. A man who is ready will not make your basic dignity feel like an unreasonable demand. A man who respects your heart will not ask you to prove that you can tolerate neglect. The ninth revelation is that emotional regulation protects your future union. This does not mean you never feel fear. It means fear does not take the steering wheel. When a message is delayed, you pause before creating a story. When plans change, you ask for information instead of issuing a punishment. When jealousy rises, you name the insecurity before accusing. When you feel the urge to withdraw, you ask whether you need space or whether you are trying to make someone chase you. Your future partner will not need a perfect woman. He will need a woman who can tell the truth before resentment becomes a language. He will need a woman who can say, "That hurt me," without turning pain into destruction. He will need a woman who can hear feedback without collapsing into shame. He will need a woman who can repair after conflict and still remember that conflict is not the same as rejection. This is why your healing matters beyond attracting someone. It matters because love will bring two nervous systems into one shared space. Your habits will affect another person. His habits will affect you. The purpose is not to avoid every difficult moment. The purpose is to create enough safety that difficult moments can be handled without destroying the bond. If you want a deeper way to read the signs in your body and distinguish calm recognition from old attachment, the heart portal activation gives you a guided language for that inner discernment. The temper revelation is that you must continue living while love is forming beyond your sight. Do not place your life in a waiting room. Do not keep your joy unopened until a man arrives. Do not refuse invitations, opportunities, travel, friendships, or creative work because you are trying to remain energetically available for one unknown person. The aligned relationship will meet you in motion. It will find you caring for your health, building your purpose, laughing with friends, serving your community, and becoming more fully yourself. You do not need to perform independence to prove that you need nobody. That is another form of protection. You are allowed to desire partnership. You are allowed to want a hand to hold, a safe home, a faithful companion, and a love that can be witnessed in ordinary life. Wanting love does not make you weak. Making your entire identity depend on being chosen is what drains your power. Create a life that can welcome love without being rescued by it. Know where you want to live. Know how you want to spend your mornings. Know what your body needs. Know which friendships nourish you. Know what kind of communication keeps your spirit open. The more clearly you inhabit your life, the easier it becomes to notice whether another person is joining your reality or asking you to abandon it. The 11th revelation is that divine timing does not excuse poor human behavior. Some of you have called the lack of effort bad timing. You have called emotional unavailability a karmic delay. You have called repeated disrespect a twin flame challenge. I ask you to remove these holy names from behavior that does not honor the holy part of you. Timing can be complex. People can need healing. Circumstances can be difficult. But timing does not prevent a person from being honest. It does not prevent a person from saying what they can offer. It does not prevent a person from treating you with consideration. If someone cannot give you a relationship, the truth may hurt, but confusion is not more spiritual than truth. The Galactic Federation of Light has shown me many timelines where women remain bound to an unavailable person because they are afraid that releasing him will cancel destiny. But destiny is not so fragile. What is aligned with your soul cannot be destroyed by a boundary. What leaves because you asked for honesty was not being held by love. What disappears because you stopped accepting crumbs was attached to your access, not your essence. You are not required to keep a broken bridge standing so that the right person can find you. You are required to keep your inner path clear. The 12th revelation is that the aligned relationship may begin more quietly than your old patterns did. It may not arrive with grand declarations, instant obsession, or a dramatic story that makes everyone turn their head. It may begin through a steady conversation, a simple invitation, a person who remembers what you said, a man who follows through on small promises before making large ones, a connection that grows in daylight rather than hiding in secret spaces. At first, you may wonder whether it is enough. You may search for the rush that once made you feel chosen, but pay attention to the quality of your breathing. Notice whether you can sleep. Notice whether your work improves. Notice whether you feel free to be honest. The body often recognizes safety before the mind learns to call it attractive. Do not sabotage the gentle beginning by demanding immediate certainty. There is a difference between allowing time for trust and tolerating endless ambiguity. Trust grows through consistent evidence. Ambiguity grows through unanswered questions. Give the connection room to develop, but do not give confusion an unlimited lease. Ask direct questions with a calm heart. What are you looking for? How do you approach commitment? What does consistency mean to you? Are you available for a relationship in your present life? You are not being difficult. You are allowing two adults to make informed choices. The answer may not be what you hoped, but clarity returns your power. The 13th revelation is that your standards must include how you feel after contact. Do not judge a connection only by how intensely you feel while you are with him. Ask how you feel afterward. Do you feel peaceful or depleted? Do you feel clear or compelled to analyze? Do you feel respected or embarrassed by how much you gave? Do you feel more connected to your values or more willing to betray them? A person can be charming in the moment and harmful over time. A conversation can be beautiful while the pattern remains destructive. A kiss can be unforgettable while the future is still impossible. The soul does not ask you to deny beautiful moments. It asks you to place them inside the larger truth. Notice the difference between expansion and activation. Expansion allows you to become more yourself. Activation makes you abandon yourself in order to keep a feeling alive. Expansion has warmth and space. Activation has urgency and fear. Expansion can hold questions. Activation has urgency and fear. Expansion can hold questions. Activation needs immediate answers because uncertainty feels unbearable. When you feel activated, place your hand over your chest and ask, "What am I afraid will happen if I do not chase this?" Perhaps you fear being forgotten. Perhaps you fear another woman will be chosen. Perhaps you fear that this is your last chance. Let the answer come without shame. Then tell yourself, "I will not make a permanent decision from a temporary wave." The 14th revelation is that preparation includes forgiving yourself for what you did before you knew better. You may remember messages you sent, chances you gave, warning signs you ignored, or people you allowed too close. You may feel anger toward the woman who stayed, returned, apologized, and hoped, but she was trying to protect you with the tools she had. She was seeking love in the only language she had been taught. Forgiveness does not mean pretending it was acceptable. It means you stop using the past as proof that you cannot be trusted. You learned. You saw the cost. You built new boundaries. You are allowed to become someone who makes different choices without constantly placing the old version of yourself on trial. Do not shame yourself for having a tender heart. Tenderness was never the problem. The lesson was to place tenderness beside wisdom. Your compassion can remain, but it no longer needs to open every gate. Your faith can remain, but it no longer needs to turn red flags into prophecies. Your hope can remain, but it no longer needs to negotiate with reality. And now, beloved Starseed, as you move through these layers, watch for the next sign of readiness. You no longer ask, "How do I make him choose me?" You begin to ask, "Is this choice worthy of the woman I have become?" That question changes the entire field around your heart. The 15th revelation is that your mission requires a love that strengthens your light, not one that constantly consumes it. You are not preparing for connection only so you can feel desired. You are preparing because the relationship aligned with God's purpose will touch many lives through the way you love, create, serve, and embody peace. Your union will not be separate from your calling. It will become a field where both souls are encouraged to rise. This is why your healing has mattered beyond your private comfort. Every pattern you ended changed the future of your family line. Every boundary you honored taught your spirit that love and self-respect can exist together. Every time you refused to return to confusion, you removed confusion from the path of those who will learn from your example. The Galactic Federation of Light has watched you transform pain into wisdom. We have seen you turn disappointment into discernment. We have seen you stand alone, rather than kneel before an attachment that required you to disappear. These choices may have looked small to the world, but they were powerful movements in the architecture of your destiny. You are not simply waiting for a man. You are becoming a clear vessel for a sacred partnership. You are learning how to speak honestly, listen deeply, repair with humility, and receive without fear. You are learning how to remain yourself while allowing another soul to come close. This is spiritual work. The 16th revelation is that your aligned relationship will not ask you to abandon your mission in order to prove your devotion. There may be adjustments. There may be seasons when one of you gives more support while the other is carrying a heavy task. There may be changes in plans, distance to cross, or fears to calm. But the foundation will not be built on your constant self-betrayal. You will not need to shrink your vision so another person can feel large. You will not need to silence your intuition so someone can remain comfortable. A healthy man will not compete with the woman God is shaping you to become. He will not punish your growth. He will not make you feel guilty for needing rest, truth, space, or respect. He will be able to celebrate your purpose because he understands that your light does not threaten his own, and you will learn to offer him that same freedom. You will not confuse love with control. You will not demand that he heal on your schedule. You will not expect him to read every hidden feeling while you refuse to speak. You will bring your heart with courage, and you will allow love to grow through honesty instead of tests. The 17th revelation is that discernment becomes peaceful when you stop trying to force certainty before the relationship has had time to reveal itself. You do not need to know on the first day whether a person is your forever partner. You do not need to create a whole future from one beautiful conversation. You do not need to reject every possibility because you fear being disappointed again. Let time speak. Let consistency speak. Let actions meet words. A connection aligned with your soul will not collapse because you move with wisdom. It will not demand immediate access to every part of you. It will not become cruel when you ask questions. It will not turn your caution into an accusation. The right man will understand that trust is built through repeated safety, not demanded through emotional pressure. Move slowly enough to remain present. Ask yourself how you feel after speaking with him. Do you feel clear, respected, and more connected to yourself? Or do you feel frantic, drained, and desperate to secure his attention? Your body is not your enemy. Your body has been recording what your mind tried to excuse. Learn to listen without turning every sensation into fear. Sometimes peace will feel unfamiliar because chaos once felt like chemistry. Sometimes steadiness will seem less thrilling because your nervous system learned to call uncertainty passion. This does not mean healthy love is dull. It means your heart is being retrained to recognize depth without danger. The 18th revelation is that you are allowed to continue living before the relationship arrives. Do not place your life in a waiting room. Do not postpone joy until a message appears. Do not keep your gifts hidden until someone confirms that you are worthy of being witnessed. Build the life that can receive love without making love responsible for giving your life meaning. Visit the places that call your spirit forward. Learn the skill you keep delaying. Care for your body. Strengthen your friendships. Make your home a place where peace can breathe. Pray, create, laugh, and let yourself be seen in the present moment. The man aligned with you is not meant to rescue you from living. He is meant to meet you as you are already walking. This does not mean you must pretend you do not desire partnership. Desire is holy when it is held with trust. You can want the hand, the conversation, the shared home, and the deep companionship. You can admit that you are ready for tenderness. But readiness is not the same as grasping. You can desire love without making delay, evidence that God has forgotten you. The 19th revelation is that the right relationship will arrive through alignment, not through the betrayal of your values. You will not need to become colder to be chosen. You will not need to become colder to be chosen. You will not need to perform independence while secretly begging for reassurance. You will not need to accept half love because you fear there will be no more. You will not need to exchange your peace for temporary closeness. When a door opens, enter with your eyes open. Bring your softness, but bring your standards. Bring your hope, but bring your discernment. Bring your capacity to forgive, but do not abandon accountability. Bring your faith, but do not use faith to deny what is plainly happening. God's timing does not require you to accept what God did not send. A spiritual connection will not be proven by how much pain you can tolerate. It will be known by the truth, respect, responsibility, and mutual care that become visible over time. I, Selenia, speak this over you now. You were never broken. You were never too much. You were never unworthy of faithful love. You were never late. You were never forgotten. You were never passed over by the hand of God. Your delays did not cancel your destiny. Your mistakes did not disqualify your heart. Your solitude did not mean you had been abandoned. I decree that every false bond losing power over you now. I decree that every attachment built on fear is being released from your emotional field. I decree that your eyes are opening to the difference between attention and devotion, between attraction and safety, between promises and embodied truth. I decree that your standards are not obstacles to love. They are guardians of the love that honors your soul. I decree that you no longer chase what continually retreats. You no longer explain your value to those committed to misunderstanding it. You no longer confuse waiting with worthlessness. I decree that your heart is becoming strong enough to receive what it once prayed for. You are learning to accept compliments without suspicion, care without debt, closeness without panic, and support without believing you must repay it through self-erasure. I decree that you will recognize the man who meets you with clean intention. You will not need to beg him to communicate. You will not need to decode every silence. You will not need to compete with a past he refuses to release. His presence will make truth easier, not harder. And if a connection appears before it is fully aligned, you will have the courage to step back. You will not call every open door sacred. You will bless what taught you and keep walking toward what can remain. Your no will become a holy protection for your yes. Beloved Starseed, this preparation matters because you carry a frequency that others will feel. The way you choose love teaches the world what love can become. You are helping to restore tenderness without weakness, commitment without possession, passion without destruction, and intimacy without the loss of identity. Your future union may become a sanctuary for healing, a source of creative force, and a living example that two people can walk together without turning one another into prisoners. This is why I ask you to keep growing, not to earn love, but to meet it consciously when it arrives. For deeper guidance on this sacred path, receive the Heart Portal Activation, the Pleiadian Code of Divine Relationships, a spiritual guide for starseeds seeking deeper love, emotional healing, and soul-aligned relationships. This edition is available for a limited time only. The link is in the first pinned comment below. Let this guide support the inner work that continues beyond this transmission. Let it remind you that your heart is not a problem to solve. It is a portal to be protected, purified, and opened with wisdom. Now place one hand over your heart and breathe slowly. Say within yourself, I am available for love that respects my peace. I am prepared to receive without abandoning myself. I trust God's timing, and I trust the wisdom I have earned. You do not have to chase the future tonight. You only have to honor the next true step. Send the message that is honest. Rest when your body asks. Leave what keeps injuring you, and choose the action that your healed self can respect tomorrow. Your aligned love story is not denied because it has not arrived in the form you expected. It is being purified from every pattern that would have made you lose yourself inside it. What is coming will meet the woman you are now, not the woman who once accepted pain as proof of devotion. If this transmission speaks to your soul, comment 1011 as your vow that you choose peace over panic. Then answer another soul in the comments with kindness, because someone waiting beside you may need the courage your words awaken. Like this transmission so it reaches another Pleiadian starseed, and subscribe to remain connected to these messages from the stellar heart healers. Walk forward, beloved one. Keep living, keep becoming, keep your heart open, and keep your boundaries clear. I am Selenia, emissary of the stellar heart healers, and I surround you with the light of a love that does not require you to disappear. You are guided, you are guarded, and you are moving toward a union worthy of the soul you have become.